Very happy to be joined by Lance Evans from HKS, who is the architect for the new Huntington Bank Field that we hope to build out in Brook Park. Lance, first of all, welcome to Cleveland. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough. Can't be more excited.
When you get a project like this, and you talk about a passionate fan base, and certainly the Cleveland Browns have the most passionate fan base in all of football, and you get an opportunity to design a home for that fan base, for that football team. What's kind of the inspiration that strikes you to kind of get this process going and want to deliver, on that?
First, it's a huge responsibility, coming in here and doing that and designing a home, which is what these are, right? It's a home for the team, for the fan base. I think our number one mission here is to design an invention for the Browns. The Haslams from day one, they weren't interested in building the next of anything. They were interested in building the first of its kind for its fans, and I think that's really set us on our trajectory of creating one of one for Cleveland. We wanted the fan base, we wanted the Browns to walk into this building and get consumed about and for Northeast Ohio, but we wanted it to be really unique at the same time. So familiar and unique, and we think our design is captured and hitting on those cylinders.
All right, before we kind of dive into that design, all the unique elements that you're going to do here in Cleveland and in Northeast Ohio, let's talk about some of the stadiums you've worked on in the past. HKS, obviously, the leader in this field.
Super fortunate. I've had quite the run. Started my career at AT&T Stadium with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, and then parlayed that into the design for the U.S. Bank Stadium for the Minnesota Vikings, which was a really fantastic opportunity to connect a fan base and a team with the venue, and then had the fortunate task of designing SoFi Stadium in L.A., my hometown. It's where I reside now, so a special place in my heart. We've also done Lucas Oil Stadium. That was happening at the same time as Cowboys, and so I was adjacent to that. I didn't have a hand in it.
What I think is cool is the three stadiums you mentioned, right? Dallas, you think about the giant screen and just that it's larger than life. Everything's bigger in Texas. And then you go to Minnesota and it's got this kind of unique, intimate feel that captures kind of the rugged nature, I think, the snow falling, all the things they do inside of that region and the
Right.
Vikings. And then SoFi, huge, glamorous, Hollywood, California, all of that. And then now you get an opportunity for Cleveland. So is that something you really try to do, is emphasize the local kind of flavor, vibe, and create something that reflects that?
Yeah, that is our DNA. I think Nathan, you summed it up well. Our design process from day one till opening day is all about creating that authentic version of large-scale entertainment venue for Northeast Ohio, and it really does drive every decision that we make. And so all the unique features that you see in our previous venues, those were created for those fan bases and for those locales. And we're excited about bringing new items and new things here to the fans of football and entertainment throughout the Northeast.
Well, let's talk about some of these unique design elements that you think really kind of capture Northeast Ohio. And I know the dog pound, we've seen that in the renderings, which is, you got to have that if it's going to be Huntington Bank Field. So what are some of the things that you're really excited about that you think reflect kind of that goal?
You've got to start with the dog pound and the idea that it is a celebrated item. When we were listening to the fan base about what they wanted in the building, number one was to restore the power of the place of the fans of the dog pound. And so we've created essentially a vertical wall of fans for the dog pounds. We have brought them as close as we can to the players into the end zone. We're going to have the visiting team run out right beside them. It is going to be a raucous wall of electricity, and we're excited about that. That informed the decisions. Really, the seating bowl was informed, the whole design of it, around this idea of catering to the kind of fandom of Browns Nation.
I love the idea. I hadn't even thought of that because in most stadiums the tunnels are kind of, the locker rooms are where they are, but the fact that you're going to have the visitors run out by the dog pound I love that.
Oh yeah. I mean, HomeField Advantage,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt. Let them know right away.
That's what we have to. That's what we have to do, and that's what we look forward to. Those opportunities, little unique moments, that make things just a little bit more interesting for the visiting team, and make things just a little bit more exciting for the hometown fans and the hometown players. I think the seating bowl itself is such an invention for this team. It has the seats that are the lowest and the closest in the NFL. And we're really proud of that. It has the smallest upper deck of any large venue in the NFL, meaning that we've taken the large upper deck that currently exists, on the lakefront. We've redistributed all those seats lower in the seating bowl, putting people closer to that action.
Yeah.
And that's really about creating an atmosphere and energy, loud, palpable. The noise, we want you to feel it. We want you to feel it in your toes, feel it in your body, that sound. And then as you go through the seating bowl, after we've gotten the fans as close as we could to the action, really one of the unique moments about the design is the roof itself. So influenced by the Cleveland Museum of Art, and what really is interesting about the design of the roof is that it's reflective of all those great spaces, found spaces in the city. And we've started talking about it as Northeast Ohio's next great room. It's going to be bathed in natural light. You're going to feel like you're outside. You get all the power of being outside, in the way that the light filtrates into the building. It's going to be spectacular for a fan. It's going to be a comfortable place to watch a game. It's going to be a comfortable place to see a concert. And we're really proud about that. But it also amplifies the sound of the fans, and that's something that we've have a long history of researching in our group. And it started out with the exploration of the ETFE roof in Minnesota, which was a first of its kind in the league, and we doubled down on that with the roof at SoFi. And any fan that's been in those two buildings, they can get incredibly loud. And what excites us about this opportunity is you take the Browns fan base and you apply it with design that is used to amplify their energy, and now you're talking about something pretty magical.
Absolutely. The sound is incredible, and then the fact that you're going to feel that natural light, it does give you that vibe of still being outside, but in a much more comfortable, climate-controlled environment, which I think is a win for everybody.
I think so. Yeah.
That's what you want to go and see that. You mentioned being able to move the smallest upper bowl and getting them down into the lower bowl. From an engineering standpoint, how are you guys able to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think every job of this scale has its challenges. And I think we see those challenges as opportunities. So right here, we're designing the new stadium right next to the airport. And with that, there are certain height restrictions coming to the FAA, similar to what we did in Los Angeles.
Right,
so we have
exactly.
a good example of that. What that does for us, though, as an opportunity is we've embedded the stadium in the ground. And so when you embed the stadium in the ground, it unleashes opportunity for us to ask a question. Could we have the majority of the fans enter the stadium at grade and go down to their seats? So you're not traveling up escalators and upstairs to get to your seats. You're just walking in and down. And that really unveiled this thing called the Grand Concourse, which is taking the idea of traditional concourse and stadia, and we're throwing it out. This is really about a new experience for grabbing concessions and food into more of an experiential treat, kind of like a food hall meets a great restaurant environment, just happens to be on a concourse connected to the game. And so we leveraged that opportunity of the Grand Concourse, put more fans on that. We had the area to do it, and it really kind of unraveled in this design that we see.
So it allows you kind of walk right into it.
You walk straight in from, we have great inside-outside environments for the shoulder months. So these plazas were fan-centered zones on either end zone that anchor the district, and the idea is that those flow straight into the concourse.
Did doing SoFi before you undertake this teach you a lot about what you can do once it is an embedded stadium? And I mean, imagine when you do one on that scale, once you say, we learned this, that there are a lot of things you can then apply going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Every one of these designs is a chance to learn, and evolve. And our process is evolutionary. We say it, and we're really learning what fans want from venues, how we can kind of create more of community assets, and how do we make the experience of coming to a game or an event, a real pleasure, and it's taking out all the pain points that fans have, and that's kind of been our journey and the command from the Haslams from day one.
Mentioned the Haslams from the beginning, wanted this to be something
absolutely.
For the fans and for this region that would be a beacon in this region. I'd imagine it has to be nice when you have the owners saying, here's what we need, we trust you guys, this is the vision, bring it to life for us.
Yeah, well, I wish it was like that. It's not always like that. What was cool though about the Haslam's is it's been a collaborative process. They're very vocal in the desires and the aspirations they have for their team in the city. And the first and foremost there is this has to be representative of the future, of the city and of the club and of Northeast Ohio. I think the other thing was really paramount is you can't design something that resonates without understanding the history and the past of the place and what it's in. So I think the dialogue that we've had with ownership about the balance between respecting the past, and creating something for the future has really been a robust conversation, and I think resulted in a really iconic design, one that you're going to turn on your television or you're going to see it from the air and you're going to say, oh, that's the home of the Cleveland Browns, and that's something that gets everybody in the room, and we're in these conversations really excited about.
In these modern stadiums, whether it be US Bank, whether it be SoFi, whether it be Huntington Bank Field that you're working on right now, it's about obviously action on the field, but it really has almost become a multimedia experience with the way that the boards are positioned, with all the things you can see. You think about the SoFi where you can see it inside and outside from everywhere in the stadium. What were kind of the thought processes for Cleveland and Northeast Ohio in that multimedia kind of experience that these stadiums, these venues have become?
Yeah. So one is about connectivity. I think if you think about the current home, of the Browns, the concourses and the clubs are disconnected from the action. You go back to get, your drink, your food, and you can't see the game. So one, all the concourses are connected to the action. You get up from your seat, you hear the sound, you see the energy. So that was number one. Number two is we've placed large video boards at either end. At one end above the dog pound, we have a really signature video element, and that's really the culmination of the dog pound itself. And we call it, another fan. The video board is just a member of the dog pound in that hint, so it's going to be a collaborative effort in that experience. On the other end of the stadium, right below our main plaza, we have a long video board that flanks the entire length of the end zone. It's embedded as low as we could get it into the stadium, and it's really going to immerse that seating bowl and sound and energy and light and technology. And so the idea of using every digital asset as part of the orchestra, to play for the fans. And so I think that's what's really interesting about the next generation of NFL venues is how each component of the building can work together, or actually, work separately depending on what the building wants and what the fans want at that time.
How much in this process of the design is it, first and foremost, this is Huntington Bank Field, this is the home of the Cleveland Browns, but then these become venues that host other iconic events throughout the year, and the thought process, and obviously think about SoFi and all the things they've hosted at SoFi, that how those things incorporate into the design. That yes, this is first and foremost a football stadium, but at the same time this is an entertainment venue for this region that is going to bring massive economic impact and massive events.
Yeah, and you really hit on it, the last one. We've been talking about it as an entertainment venue, and it needs and can adapt to any event that really wants to take place in the venue and do it at scale. And so we've been calling it a super theater.
Yep.
In a way, it can scale from capacities from 6,000 all the way up into the 70+ thousand, on the mega event. And so we really are using the design and the kind of the way we can manipulate components of the design to cater rooms that are not just divided by curtains or dividing the house, but really are designed and tuned for different audiences and for different kind of events.
You talked about the dog pound as being kind of the signature piece of this that is so Cleveland. When you go through these things, I imagine there's something that is in the design. It could be small, could be huge, that you're like, this is my favorite piece. What's your favorite piece of the new Huntington Bank Field?
Well, it's got to be, we have a cantilevered bridge off of the Grand Concourse that hangs above the dog pound. And it's this unique moment that lets people look above, below, and around and surround itself in between the video board and the energy of the dog pound itself. And it gives like this wonderful moment to take it all in, the energy of the space, and it's something really unique in the NFL. We're really excited about it.
So how does this come from ideas, and maybe it's pen on paper, pencil on paper, to computer simulations, to can the engineering actually work of these design elements that we're doing, to what will eventually be, in 2029, the finished product?
It starts with listening, first off. Listening, I think the best architects are the ones that can listen and interpret. So listening to ownership, listening to the team, listening to the organization about what they want, what they would want or need in a new venue to really make it a transformative experience for the organization. Listening to the fan base, about what they want, what they desire in the new stadium. So it starts with that, distilling that information down, and to research. Really becoming not a tourist in this location, because I don't live in Cleveland, unfortunately, but we really want to become visitors. There's a difference between a tourist and a visitor, and we really try to embrace ourselves in the community and the culture of Northeast Ohio, and understand what it means and the passion that this fan base has. We take that and bring it back to our team. And I'm fortunate enough to be sitting in this chair, but I represent
Sure.
Hundreds of architects and
how
engineers.
many people are on this team?
It really is an army of architects and engineers that it takes to bring one of these visions to life, and it's a true collaborative effort. Our ultimate team sport, I think, is architecture in some ways, and a lot of back and forth. A lot of ideas thrown up on the wall, and a lot of conversation. About what it would mean to do something that felt honest and right, and would be exciting. It would create reaction, from day one, that would have a lasting legacy, that we're not building for this generation or the next, we're building it for 3 generations down the line. This design has to have staying power, and really coming up with something that could stand the test of time, and be representative of that future stance for the city and for the team.
Was that one of the challenges? Because this is, in some ways, an older style city, right? It's a blue-collar city. It's gritty. It's tough. It's hardened in the cold. And then you want to balance that with this futuristic, luxurious, beautiful stadium that'll be still cutting edge, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Yeah, we wanted it to evolve, and it needs, I think the correct designs, they do evolve, with their fan bases and with the city and the culture if they're designed correctly. And that's why buildings that we love throughout the city now, that were designed at the turn of the century, are still relevant today. It's because they were designed in that same ethos, and we're not trying to replicate anything, with this stadium. This is truly one of its kind for its city, and we believe that it's going to be such an amazing experience on opening day when we're all able to get out there and yell for those Browns.
All right, we talked about kind of some of the unique elements for this area, and it extends not only to the stadium itself, but the environmental impact of it.
Yeah, the form of the building is really designed in response to the climate in Cleveland. I talked to you about this being one of one, and a lot of that goes into the form and the shape and how we'll deal with the weather and the environment in and around here. So priority here is to get the snow off the roof. As I'm sure all the residents around here know, snow management is a big deal. So the form of the building started with the pitch of the roof. So a simple pitch in the roof allowed the snow to shed off, saving a lot of kind of cost of the steel structure in there. But what that allowed us to do is put that investment back into the fans. And so you see the form of the building as a kind of a natural response to the environment, but it was able to be used as a tool not only for the fans, but a huge savings as it relates to its environmental impact. So the loft of the stadium, the pitch of the roof, the use of the ETFE and how the stadium is flooded in natural light, all those elements like working together and how it's embedded into the ground ended up saving around 20 to 30% in the overall kind of HVAC costs of the stadium. And again, those are savings that are real and tangible, and they're being good stewards for our environment. They're saving the carbon footprint of the building and looking towards that next generation, as we spoke about. This is a generational project, and we need to be stewards of that investment throughout these generations. But it also was an opportunity that got back to the Haslam's original vision, was how do we make sure that everything we're doing has the fans in mind, has the players in mind, and I think that's a direct reflection of that.
We talked about how these are not just football stadiums anymore. They are year-round venues for massive entertainment events. And with that, you've got, the plazas around. So it's almost a little community.
Yeah, what we call it is designing the venue before you get into the venue. They're really entertainment districts, and they need to have all of the amenities and kind of activations that you would think you would see in a stadium. We've pulled those out into the district itself, and so the district is going to be something that's going to enable 365 days a year activation and really regeneration to Northeast Ohio as a catalyst for entertainment. The plazas are a key component of that, and they act as flexible activation zones on game day. But on non-game day, they are equally as important. They're designed with the seasons in mind. For community first, these are places that will have winter gardens and winter parks. They're going to be places where you're going to have your picnics and social gatherings in the summer. They're activated by large digital screens that can stream the live events, and so they become really a venue for the venue itself and an activation for the community. One of the other key pieces that we think is paramount to the success of that is we actually have created a team store and a museum experience, out in the plaza that's activated 365 days a year, and it will come the home, for Browns gear and activation and history and lore, and we think that just really adds to the uniqueness of this design for the community and into that 365 destination for the Browns.
Lance, thank you so much for the time today, and we are so excited to see you guys break ground and then see this final product, the new Huntington Bank Field.
Excited to be here with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.